Okay, I'm Taylor, and this is Easily. It's a website for, well, creating and sharing visual ideas. So there's the website, easel.ly. This is the home page. So I've already created an account, so this top bar here displays posters that I've created. So you'll start by creating an account, which appears in this corner. I've already created my account. It took about 20 seconds. So I'm already logged in. And then once you get set up, you'll be able to start working. So I'm just kind of scrolling down the page, and these are ideas and examples for you to use, themes that you can use, and this is stuff that Easily provides you. And some of this looks like it might be other users are posting some of their stuff. So I chose this site because, or I wanted to use this technology because I just kind of stumbled onto this site and I saw this particular poster right here. And immediately I just kind of thought, well, that looks like a roadmap. And I think that in math, particularly, students are given, a set of equations and a word problem, and then okay, let's figure it out. And a lot of students, myself included, really benefit from a more visual kind of style of presentation, which this site allows you to do. So I saw this poster and I was kind of thinking in my head, okay, well, there's these little signposts here, so we could start here, introduce a word problem or whatever it is. What's the first step in solving it? And your little guy or gal walks down the road and the math road and completes each step along the way. So that was kind of what I'm basing my idea off of on my poster, which we'll get to in a minute. But just a good visual way for presenting information. So what I did was just click on that and brought me to this page, and there's the poster, and I can just start editing it at will. So I can just play around with this stuff. But before we do that, I want to get you kind of an idea of how all the tools are used. So I clicked on the Start Fresh theme, which brings us here, and it just has all these little blurbs which give a quick description of how these buttons up here work. So Themes, which is a visual theme, just pulls up all the themes that we were just looking at, and you can access those from here. Objects, you can drag and drop these objects, their shapes, text, backgrounds. You just click them and drag them into the canvas or the workspace, and then from there you can resize them however you want and position them wherever you want. So I can rotate this guy. If I want to get rid of one of these, I can just click on it and click the trash can. And you've got all these different options for objects: maps, nature, transportation. Background, you can drag and drop the backgrounds in. So here's a nice red oak. And there's a vomit green. I can put in these shapes and resize them however I want. I've also got this color option. I can turn them whatever color I want. Opacity, well, you can kind of see how that adjusts the opacity. I can add in a text box, different kinds of text boxes. Here's a body text, which I'll show you. Put it wherever you want, and then what I'll do is double click on it, and then I can edit the text right there. So I can just write whatever I want, whatever I want, and I can change the font. So let's Deja Vu. I've never heard of that one. Deja Vu size 42. Boom. And if I don't like something I did, I have this undo button up here. Hello. Okay, so it undoes my work, so you can do that. You've got this button here which adds in a grid, which could be useful for anything in math, science, statistics, or whatever else you want to use it for. Maybe you just need to line up your shapes. Clicking it again gets rid of the grid. These buttons here let you zoom out so I can get a good overall picture of what my poster looks like, or I can zoom in real close and work on one particular piece. I think that is most of them. Oh, I can upload my own pictures here, so I can add pictures from my computer. So these are just screenshots that I took. I was working out my word problem that I wrote for my poster, and I took these pictures on my computer's camera, and then I posted them right to my poster. So I was able to do that real easy. Let's see. Oops. I think that's most of the buttons. Home takes you back to the home page. Save allows you to save your poster under your account. You can open your poster with this button. I can hit clear and just get rid of everything and start with a brand new canvas with nothing on it. So that's kind of how easily works. And so let's look at my example. This isn't my example. This is mine. So this is a poster which walks you through the process of solving a piecewise function. How I would use this in my classroom for my students. I'm thinking there's a few ways that you could do this. One, I would kind of make a poster myself, kind of like what I've done here, and just on each of these road signs, I post the name of the next step of the process, and then I'd leave some space for the students to work. So I would make the poster, print out a few copies of it, and then have the students work in groups to work through their word problem. And this one's pretty basic, but you can kind of get the idea. So I'm kind of how I'm envisioning that is I would add a square. It's not letting me add shapes right now for some reason, but I'm picturing putting some squares in there and then changing the background to white so students have some room to work through the math and set up their equations. There'd be another square here, for them to work through the math and solve their problem, and then another one down here for a conclusion, which would be just presenting the results and an interpretation of what that means. And then once the posters have been completed, maybe they could present to the class their work and how they worked through the problem. So that would be one way to use this. Another way to use this technology would be to maybe for more advanced students, who knows, to have your students create their own poster presenting an idea or a process, and which would really, I think, especially in teaching math, if you can explain the process that you're going through, it really helps solidify it in your mind, and it just helps you learn it better. And I think if students were to use this website to go through and use this roadmap and create the process and explain it themselves, that would just be a great learning tool. And then they could present to the class, or however far you wanted to take it. A third idea that I had, which doesn't look like it's going to work, I was thinking that you could use this. I would build the poster myself and then use it kind of as a PowerPoint in a lecture. or put it online for students to access, which I mean might work if it's something simple, but for example, you can see at the bottom I was trying to add in a hyperlink and it easily won't recognize that. I mean you can't click on it. So once you're on the easily poster, you're stuck there. So if you wanted to get more involved in your lectures or your presentations, I would say PowerPoint is probably the way to go, or some other technology. Easily is basically just a snapshot of an idea. So difficulties with Easily. This site is really buggy. I think it must be a new site or something, because there's just a lot of small but really irritating problems. For example, when I I wrote my word problem here in Microsoft Word, copy and pasted into Easily, and I had this text box, and it pasted it all on one line, so it was just this real big long line of text that going all across the screen like this. And I had to go in manually and break up my sentences and start, just hitting the enter key and making those paragraphs myself for it to fit like it does on the page here. So, just little stuff like that. And like this, I can't adjust anything on my poster. It's not letting me add anything. I don't know what the deal is. So I think until those bugs get worked out of their system, I would avoid this site, at least for a few months until they get it running really good. Difficulties that you might run into with students. I mean, if you have students using computers to create their posters, I mean, if you're using class time to do it, you're going to want to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and not on Facebook or whatever. So, and that's just kind of a typical problem that we've talked about all semester. Some strengths, though, from using this. I mean, I think I've kind of outlined them already. Just good visual way to represent your ideas. So this would be useful for other math teachers. Just in all the same ways that I just gave to you. Creating your posters as worksheets for students to work on in groups, independent or group projects for explaining processes. As far as teachers in other disciplines, I mean, I think anyone from Spanish to art to biology to math, we can all benefit from this, just because it's such an easy way to make your information really visual for kids to understand. And same kind of thing. If you're in Spanish, you can set up like a process map. That's kind of what I've done here, like for building, for I don't know, conjugating, I don't know. Or you could use it as a way to just represent something quick and easy. Like I was looking at this theme here. If you're a social studies teacher, world oil consumption just kind of gives you, at a glance, you kind of know what you're looking at. Okay, well, North America and Asia, we use the most oil out of anybody in the world. So it's kind of useful in that aspect. If you just want to get something, a quick point across, you can just set up a visual like this, and I think it's eye-catching enough to where people kind of want to say, hey, what am I looking at here? So that's kind of useful for other teachers in that way. Last thing I want to talk about is this tutorial video, which I'm going to post with the video on the Google site, on the Google Plus site, and it's just 6 minutes long. Basically, she explains a little bit more in detail the same things that I explained to you just now. So that's Easily. I'm Taylor, and I hope you found this informative and not too boring.